Hey, you big back, big headed, big lipped bitch. Ouch.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Brose here, and I'm back with a new video. Today on the Brose Breakdown, we're going to be talking about why are gay men are insecure. Now, I'm not saying y'all are like insecure, but we'll break that down. Alright, so make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let me know what you're thinking below in the comments. So in the gay community, people use looks as a mean of currency and a unit of value. So that means like when you look at someone, whether they look good and what you think looks good is a use of importance or not. This kind of plays into desirability politics. Now, to give you an exact definition, desirability politics kind of refers to the social, cultural, and political system that shapes who's considered desirable or worthy of attention, affection, respect based on specific norms and standards. These norms often intersect with various identity categories, including race, gender, sexuality, ability, class, and body type. So people who meet the ideal standards of desirability often have more social privilege, access, and opportunities, while those who don't may experience marginalization and exclusion. So, and this kind of plays into queer desirability politics, which refers to in which way sexual and romantic desirabilities are shaped, regulated, and contested with the queer community, often reflecting and reinforcing broader societal norms around race, body type, gender, class, and ability. While the queer community is often associated with resistance to heteronormativity and the breaking of gender and sexual boundaries, queer desirability politics show how even with marginalized groups, certain identities, appearances, and behaviors are still seen more desirable than others. These dynamics play in a complex way, often interact with and mirroring the same beauty standards and power structures found in mainstream heterosexual culture, while also introducing distinct forms of exclusion, privilege, specific to queer context. So let's break it down. I know that was a lot to like kind of break down and kind of receive, but think about it in your movie roles. Who's shown what is to look like? You know, the slim body type, muscular for men, slim for women, pretty much white or lighter skinned, whether you're white Latino, white passing Middle Eastern, lighter skinned in Southeast Asian, or you are light skinned in the black community. Then you have ability, of course. You know, disabled folks are unfortunately discriminated against every day. And then the other thing is class, like who has money. People always make the terms of, if you don't have money, you shouldn't date. That's always a thing in both heterosexual and LGBTQIA plus community, that those kind of like struggle, but we're talking about gays, so yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about it. So key aspects of that. This is why a lot of people feel like insecure, because of these standards. Now, you know, we have social media, so you're seeing a lot of people get attention of those who, you know, show their body, show their prints or things like that, and they get a lot of love. They get platformed easily, whether they have really effed up morals or they said something that's very offensive to a community. They are very platformed easy. So a lot of people have noticed that if you are of a lighter skin tone, or if you are white Latino, or like a lighter skin, you kind of easily do get pushed to the forefront. Then you have those who are muscular, or you know, have a certain body type. If you don't meet the skin complexion, then it goes to like body type. And then those who, you know, take their shirt off, or are really muscular, they get a lot of likes and a lot of things. And then if you don't meet that, you know, money wise, if you're showing labels, if you're showing, you know, you have money, then that gets solid. So it's kind of like a domino effect. If you don't meet the skin color desirable, you know, you then deal with the body. And then if you don't deal with the body, you have, you know, the money. And if you don't have the money, you know, it goes so on and so on and so forth. A lot of the gays are insecure, young gays are insecure, because a lot of things are being, people who are platformed and are celebrated more so are the ones that fit into desirability politics that are set by cis hetero white men.
Grindr has fucked me up so bad to the point where I can't help but to ask myself, am I ugly? I must be fucking ugly, because the standards on this fucking app and on Sniffies, I don't even know which one is worse, but they give two different vibes. But at this point, the way both of them are working in my life, in my situation, is making me question, like, I'm ugly. Like I had to ask this boy who rejected me, even though we were both bottoms. And at this point, I was just born. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do something. But I had to ask him, and he was just like, "You're absolutely not ugly, but you're just not my type." And I'm like, I totally understand that. Like I get it if I'm not your type physically, but this shit is making me question like.
And a lot of y'all follow into that and it repeats that cycle, which, you know, you shouldn't. And I also challenge people to think, are you someone who contributes to that cycle? Are you someone who only likes a certain skin complexion that is lighter? Are you someone who only, you know, support people who are of a certain size? Do you support people who are disabled or only able-bodied? Like, you know, what are you doing to contribute to that cycle? Because at the end of the day, it's affecting who, not just them, but you. So I always say, look back and think about, who is this affecting? So yeah, so let's get into like key aspects of desirability politics and why this may make you think you're insecure. So gender fluidity and nonconformity should be mostly celebrated, but it's kind of not. So when you think about it, this whole thing of masculinity versus femininity. So in a lot of homosexual spaces, there's a strong preference for masculine or mask, or this whole thing of mask for mass. Sometimes at the expense of those who are feminine or non-binary gender. The concept of straight acting is a gay man who examples where, you know, they perform traditional masculine traits, like, or, you know, the way they dress, or, you know, the way they think. Like in the black community, use like, you know, words like trade, or, you know, DL, they want like a DL man, they want a trade man. So if you don't fit that, you kind of get shunned away or looked at as less than.
Masculinity. There's different types of energies. Like when I'm around gay men, it's like they're yeah, boom, boom, boom. But when I'm around my dudes who are on like Gresham Road, West End Mall, it's like, I'm like, it's a different.
You just like hood niggas.
No, but it's a different vibe. Even though you're masculine and all you hang out with is gay people, you're gonna pick up certain tendencies that you may not notice. You know what I'm saying? So if a straight man has never hung out with like gay people, he's not gonna have those little small tendencies and lingos. And it's just certain things that's just my preference that turns me off.
So think about it. So that's one thing why a lot of people feel insecure about who they are, because, you know, most gay men, I think, are feminine. You know what I mean? They're feminine. A lot of heterosexual men are feminine. So why, like, you know, why is that really a thing to be pushed that that's better than one? Both should be accepted. And, you know, the whole thing of being femphobic within both gay and queer spaces, femininity is often devalued. You know, that's why a lot of like people treat very feminine men messed up. You know, we have misogynistic gay men, and they all love to shout out trans women and not support them and be very rude or disrespectful to trans women. So femininity is kind of like really devalued. People who present as feminine, especially in gay or bisexual male spaces, may face fetishization, rejection, and discrimination. I always tell people, like, think about it. Don't confuse being accepted for being tokenized. I think a lot of people get those two. They kind of like merge those two things together, and it's not good to merge those two things because you're essentially getting used at the end and you're going to be left with nothing. Think about that. But yeah, femphobia can be an intersective with misogyny, like I stated earlier, transphobia, making it even harder for queer people with feminine gender expressions to be accepted and desired. A lot of times they're desired, but on the low, they're not really celebrated, they're not really looked at. It makes a lot of people who don't fit that characteristics as insecure. And again, are you doing this to other people? Because sometimes that people, it could be a blind spot for us that, you know, we're socialized to look down on it. But I do feel like as you get older, it's important to unlearn, unpack, and just really look at yourself. Then you go to body image and beauty standards. Again, much like in mainstream society, you know, body size, shape, and aesthetics heavily influence, you know, these spaces and who is accepted. Like again, thinness, muscularity in the gay male community, especially in there's often a strong preference for thin or muscular bodies, often leading to body image issues for those who don't meet those expectations. Emphasis on a fit body is linked to ideal youth, health, sexual desirability, excluding those who are larger body, disabled, or simply don't fit these narrow beauty ideals.
I started working out a lot. I guess it's, you know, for like some insecurity purposes, but you know, I still feel insecure It wasn't like a real like fixer to that. But you know, I still feel like I'm sexy, but also insecure, if that makes sense.
And the thing about it is, y'all be killing yourselves to get these bodies, like eating the same thing for like 6 days straight. That's a little interesting, like, don't you say? Like, I mean, I don't know why. Like, why would you eat the same thing for like 5 days unless you don't have it? Now, if you like don't financially have it, that's fine. You don't have a choice, so I understand that. But if you have it, like just to look a certain way, I can understand working out and that being your safe place and that being a hobby of yours. But if you're doing it to just attract people and not doing it for yourself, it never ends up working. It never gets you that relationship you want, because at the end of the day, doing it for appease others and not just to appease yourself, and that stuff never works out at the end. Always do things for you and not others, and also open your mind to these larger body sizes when you're talking about dating. Like, what is wrong with someone who doesn't have a six-pack like you? Like, what does that mean to you? Does it make them lazy? Does it make them unhygienic or anything like that? Like, there are a lot of people who are fit in these certain ideal sizes that are dirty, that are nasty, that, you know, all the stigmas that other people put on other body sizes. So think about that.
That you were gonna put in your profile, no fat and no film. I don't know. Like, I just never wanted those guys. Like, I can only like what likes me, and if it doesn't like me, I can't like it back. Like, my body won't let me like it back.
Yeah.
Even if I lose some weight and I look even better physically to you, that can still shift the older I get. Like, it's gonna shift, you know, the older I get. So it's like you have to be invested into something bigger,
No pun
or
intended.
more, than somebody's body.
And, you know, a lot of people always be like, you know, oh, I want someone with a bigger size, or, you know, it's winter and I want somebody who has a dad bod, you know, and that's a form of fetishization too. Like, when you say that in the wintertime, you're only thinking they're good for the winter because they can make you feel good or they can make you feel warm. That's messed up, and you're only saying they're only good for one reason. What you're saying, in a sense, is they're not good enough for anything else but love in the wintertime because they're appeasing you. That's like, no. And then it also speaks to racialized beauty standards, you know, the intersection of race and body image. Those who have, or certain features, I'll say, are often considered more attractive. Again, this also, the third goes into race and ethnicity. Queer desirability politics are often heavily racialized. A lot of people think, like, just because they're in a gay or queer community, and I'm using it separately because they're not synonymous. One is a subgroup of the other. Often queer communities are not immune to racial hierarchy. Of course, like we always see, queer people of color, or particularly in gay male communities, may be fetishized based on their race, leading to dynamics that are viewed desirable for exotic traits. Whiteness is put on a hierarchy. You always see, like, again, I did a video on a lot of black gay male who are celebrities only dating white men or white Latino men.
You can feel yourself like not answering though, right? Like,
I don't know what you want me to answer. Not like that. Like, that's like a brother. That man's like family. Like, truly like family.
I don't even like black dudes at all. I'm into white guys.
And it's with indigenous and mestizo Latinos, or, you know, it's with the Asian community is very heavily, I'll say slightly obsessed. I'm sorry, but y'all are slightly obsessed with white people. It's a little scary from the outside looking in. So they're put on a pedestal, and then those white men kind of fetishizes the minorities by calling y'all certain names and participating in different kinks like race play and like little things like that. And they have different names. Like, for black men, you know, for a black man, you have to have like a big, you know, large penis for them to really like you, or a nice really body. Same with Asian men, they're gonna like probably think you are very feminine and you're very, like, you know, you can be dominating.
There's been a lot of discourse on my TikTok around Asian men being the least attractive and least desirable based off race. And I wanted to add to this conversation by addressing the dissonance experienced as a gay Asian man. Being a queer Asian man in America is characterized by being undesired by most and fetishized by some. And this experience is really jarring and harmful. On one side, you only see white men being placed on pedestals in queer spaces and media, alongside derogatory comments about how small and feminine Asian men are. Especially my formative years being in the 2010s, I spent so much time internalizing this as me falling short. On the other side, I deal with some people who desire me in a fetishizing way that parallels Asian women, where I'm assumed to fit a more submissive and feminine role by default. To illustrate this, I am 26 years old and I have never once been asked if I top or have a desire to top, except by my now boyfriend, who is an Asian man.
Latino is kind of like, it depends. I think it's with them, it's like either like kind of like for black Latinos or like, you know, mestizos, you're kind of like scores to be like, you know, you have to be this Mendigo archetype. And then for like the white Latinos or like the slim ones, they're kind of like put you down as like, you know, you could be used or abused or, you know, degraded. Same for black men too, because black like that too, but I'm just saying from their lens and from the studies I've seen, that's what it's kind of like used to. And then, you know, again, anti-blackness is big within queer community spaces. When it comes to, in the black gay community, that's anti-blackness is big there with colorism and preferences of racial ambiguous people or lighter skinned individuals, and then anti-blackness in the community as a whole.
Even me, I'm even realizing sometimes I can be hella like shallow with the type of niggas that I want, but I have to look in the mirror and just be like, okay, you don't like it when they do it to you, so you have to stop doing it to yourself. But yeah, what you're saying is, I should need to come up with an app so we can all be happy, we can all get along, and we can love on ourselves. Even though my type is kind of like Mexican and white, I'm really not.
So those who are black, they face a whole nother layer of, or you know, in other races too, but more so black, you face a whole nother layer of a whole nother form of oppression, and adds to that level of being, you know, uncomfortable in your skin and yourself. That's another reason why a lot of them are insecure.
If you're saying you feel like a black buck, then there's a part of you that has to be like, why do I keep hooking up with all these white men?
Yeah, but I mean, that I've been reading a lot, and so that was just like, yeah, there's all types of components. There's a sex addiction component to it. Just like why do I need sex to heal? Why do I turn to that to like feel better about myself? Like a lot of it's unhealthy. Like I definitely exhibit a lot of unhealthy behavior in the show.
And in some parts, you know, there's a tendency to think those who are mixed race are more visibly attractive. I always tell people who are lighter skinned, beware of the people who only like you because you're lighter, because you're being fetishized too. Although you may think that's a good thing, it's not, because it's most likely it's not going to work for you at the end. And some of my dark skinned black people too, just love yourself, and especially if you're dark skinned, plus size, and feminine, I support you. It's hard out here for them. Like, it's super hard out. So watch your biases and things that you say and support, and open your eyes up, because they're beautiful. They deserve love too. They're not ugly at all. They are everything. So lift them up, because they're disproportionately effective. But I also say to them too, do not perpetuate discrimination against others. Like, I see a lot of dark skinned men, gay men specifically, that are colorists, that are femphobic. And a lot of these other races, they're not off the hook too. But I'm saying to y'all, because I want y'all to be good, and I want y'all to do better. I want every race to do better, but I want y'all to do better, because I fucks with y'all. I love y'all. I'm dark skinned myself, but I always claim, like, watch out and I learn things and look at my blind spots, so I won't perpetuate something that I am a victim of. Like, that don't make any sense, y'all. Like, we gotta do better. But okay, then we have class and economic status. Class dynamics also shapes who's desirable. You know, people with wealth and social status, they're able to get away with a lot of things. Wealthier people have access to better healthcare, personal grooming, lifestyle, and contribute to more desirability appearances. This can leave the working class, or those who are not fortunate financially, feeling excluded, invisible, particularly in scenes where designer labels, trendy diets, or expensive aesthetic practices are emphasized. So people who have money are seen to get away with more, because they're like excused from certain things. Like, they can say things, but people are like, oh, you know, let them say them, or let them have that preference, or let them do this, when in fact it's hurting you. Like, when are we going to get to a point where stop contributing things that affect us and deplatform these people? Just because they're wealthy doesn't mean anything. So we have to look inside that economic privilege that these people got and say, hey, and I know a lot of us strive to get there, but just because we strive to get there doesn't mean we have coddle or baby those who are already there. That doesn't do anything for us. I know you want that proximity, but they're still going to look at you as less than two, you know? Fifth, disability and health. Disability disability often intersects with queer desirability, where disabled individuals face extreme marginalization or fetishization. Like people with visible and invisible disabilities often find it hard to be considered sexually or romantically desired. There is a stereotype that disabled people that are less attractive or not sexual, you know what I mean? So open your heart up, or at least be a listening ear and understand the things that you say that can offend people. You know, those little jokes goes a long way, and you never know what can happen to you because you can be disabled in a blink of an eye. So watch everything you say. And, you know, and there's a lot of ableism that's used too. So we have to figure out what words and what things that are being said so we can dial back and not offend those who have those things. And then, you know, health standards, the idea of health, and people making fun of people who have certain STDs and STIs and being serophobic, because a lot of people, you don't know their story, and even if their story doesn't, you know, is like whatever, doesn't mean you have a right to shame them. And there, you know, I have seen there are movements and, you know, people that are speaking about these things and advocating for things. And what I would say to you is how to not be insecure is to unlearn and unpack and read and seek a community. And when I say unlearn, unpack, and read, I mean go to articles and see where these things stem from, because once you have an understanding of where these things are stemming from and where these things are kind of like come from, you learn not to like do those things and perpetuate the same things, because you're like, oh, this came from that and this is not good. You know, a lot of things can be unconscious, which doesn't make it an excuse, but it does show that maybe we as people need to not do those and participate in things. I would say always unlearn. I always say ask questions if you don't understand, because that makes you smarter than those. And I would say, yeah, better than those who don't know anything and just want to be complacent and being ignorant. So why you're insecure is because of desirability politics. It's our job to gain information and seek information. We have a lot of resources, unlike our ancestors, so we should use those to our advantage, unlearn, and become better. So I would say in conclusion, escape desirability politics reveal that even within marginalized communities, there are power dynamics that privilege certain identities and bodies while sidelighting others. By interrogating how race, class, gender, ability, and body size shape attraction and inclusion, there needs to be a strive towards more equitable, actually inclusive, not just inclusive because just to say it's inclusive when it's really not, that allows for a broader and more diverse range of identities to be seen and celebrated and desired, because everybody wants love too. Everybody needs love too. So I challenge y'all to unlearn those things, and let me know down below, why do you think a lot of gay men are insecure? I would like to hear your thoughts. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Make sure again you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you on my next one. Peace.
Born a black man in America. I was born a black gay man in this world. That's a big fat no for a lot of people in a lot of spaces most of the time.